Check one, check one. God damn her, that's sounding good. The new mic riled up here, ready to breathe. We got a good show tonight. We're back on the hard water. We're going to get into that. We got an industry unicorn. You know, no one's ever really heard of this guy. And I met him this summer, and he's got some wild stories. He's one of the most hardcore ice fishermen I've ever seen, so we're going to pick his brain soon. We're going to get into maybe a touch on a little Bassmaster stuff. Probably talk some walleye. Might talk a little local derb. Who knows? We're gonna hop into it, and hopefully you hang with us for the next hour here. We'll see you on the other side of the intro. Welcome to Get the Net, a fishing podcast that takes a deep dive into competitive events, fishing news, tips, tactics, and most importantly, interviews with some of the most interesting and in-tuned anglers from Canada to the central U.S. We're leaving no stone unturned to bring you the most raw and authentic dock talk. My name is Jamie Bruce. While my resume says bass, my frying pan says walleye, and I'm no stranger to the multi-species realm. Whether you're puttering on tackle, driving the bus, cutting the grass, or killing time in a 9 to 5, we'll try to give you something in every episode to take with you on the water, or at the very least, bring you a few laughs. Okay, everyone, welcome back to episode 16 of Get the Net. Can't believe she's gone this far. You know, things are going to plan. We've had a couple industry dominators, you know, in the fishing world that everyone knows. You know, we've had the Bassmaster Angler of the Year. We've had some YouTube superstars. We've had some other, you know, industry guys. We've been able to shine a little bit of light on a few people in the, you know, fishing world that maybe you haven't heard of before. That's who we've got coming up tonight. We've got Colin Barton soon. He's hardcore into ice fishing, got into the winter camping before it was cool. So he's going to have some good stories. But yeah, we're ice fishing. I went out on this past Saturday. It was the 18th or the 19th. And I mean, Sean McGaughy and I, you know, for as long as I remember, have been trying to sneak out on the hard water. Always try to be the first people out there. We both work Monday to Friday, so we couldn't be the first ones out there this year. A couple kids beat us on the trout ponds, but we made sure we were the first ones to the middle of the lakes. We're dumb, so we went crappie fishing. You know, if you've ever ice fished crappies around here in the winter, you'll know that they're usually in the middle of the basin, pretty much always in the center of the lake as far as you can walk from shore. So we know the tricks to get around on the ice by now. Sean is an ice expert. He, you know, plowed out there for years doing the ice road thing, and we've learned a lot of hard lessons. So we were able to sneak out. He caught about 10 pike, and I caught some really nice crappie. We made a good video out of it. It's up on the LoopTube channel. Check that out. LoopTube's getting peppered with first ice right now. Pretty much any kind of uncultured garbage just gets blasted with views. It's just kind of the way it goes. I've been watching that game of inches too. It's been really entertaining. If you haven't been watching it, which you for sure have if you are listening to an ice fishing podcast. A fishing podcast touching on ice fishing, I should say. But yeah, pretty much how it works is there's 5 teams, and they're all in a contest for 5 days. It was all filmed last year. They all drop their videos every Monday, and you kind of just have to weed through and watch the videos to see how they're doing. Joe Cooper's on one, if you remember him from the Fishing Bus episode. It's been nice to see Joe Cooper and Dave Winter on there, get a healthy dose of those two. Super funny, and they're fishing Lake of the Woods exclusively, it looks like. Yeah, it's been fun to follow. I love watching that kind of thing. So, and on the bass fishing front, not much has changed in the last little bit. It's a little more public that there are 175 anglers fishing all 9 Bassmaster Opens, which is about double the number they had last year. More than anyone expected. Apparently they moved the field sizes up to 250 boats now. Definitely some major change on that. Add a whole bunch of stress to the pile. But it's going to be good because if you can compete among that crew, then you can compete with anybody. Ish Monroe's coming over from the BPT. Bobby Lane, he just won the Bass Pro Tour Championship, which is supposed to be the biggest title in fishing. And he's quitting and going back to the Opens. Like, all of the good FLW guys are hopping on the Opens. It sounds like there's going to be some more media coverage. Looks like some TV time's going to be rocking in. So, you know, as much as it makes it that much harder to do well in that series and to qualify for the Elite Series, I'm still looking at it for the experience. It's just going to add to the experience, make it that much cooler to have, be surrounded in legends and people I've watched on FLW, MLF, whatever they call it now. So yeah, another added dynamic there. We're going to have a few, sponsor announcements soon here. Have a couple new partners that have, really stepped up, made sure I have a realistic chance at this thing. Definitely appreciative of that. So yeah, all that stuff's coming. It's been really busy trying to rein in all the sponsor stuff and get everything figured out for next year. And it's looking like, it's kind of lined up, going to be able to breathe a little bit, focus on everything else that I've been neglecting around the house and everything like that. And, crank out some ice fishing content, going to go hard in the paint at that. And I'm looking at this Lund right now, and, I'm going to start digging into that, organizing tackle. There's, pretty much unlimited work you can put into it. So gonna get rolling on that soon. Other than that, not a pile else going on. Gotta remind you, actually, I was looking today, the Smeltinator jig is getting ripped off left, right, and center. Had like a brand new, it's just a almost carbon copy with a way worse paint job. It looks like a 4-year-old painted it with a rattle can. But yeah, Smeltinator rip off. The Dirty Jigs has been ripping them off forever, and then there's like a Boss one now. So if you want the original Smeltinator jig with the good paint, the good hook, and the good history, go to www.btfishing.com. We've got everything else there too. Marabou, Smeltinators, clack shots. The clack shot litter up the other day. Watch that video on my YouTube, and you'll see one of the biggest crappies I ever caught. I caught on the clacking rig. So check that thing out. But anyway, enter promo code GetTheNet at checkout, and you'll get another 10% off that. And we offer free shipping anywhere in Canada and the US on orders over $99. Reminder, it's this will probably be out on a Sunday. Lake of the Woods Sports is having their Black Friday sale. It extends into Monday. Really good time to buy a 40-volt Strikemaster. You get the extra battery right now. There's a bunch of other things on sale too. Fresh stock of 13 rods. There's a bunch of Widowmakers. All the Omens. I really like the Omen 36 medium for trouting. Quality pull there. Bunch in stock. I was just there tonight. And like I said, that sale is going to extend into Monday. So you're going to listen to this on Sunday. If you're not following me on the gram, you don't see me pumping the flyer on there, then you might listen to this and have to run into the store for Monday. So shacks, augers, whatever you need. Probably a pretty good time to buy it. And that should do her on that front for now. Guest is probably waiting. He's probably riled up to hop on here. I'm going to pull him on. And it's Colin Barton. Where have you been, bud?
You been waiting on me?
Yeah, you're like an hour late.
Oh, when you said 7, I thought you meant 7 your time.
Yeah, that's 7 my time.
My bad.
I'm just messing with you, man.
Oh, Brucey, I knew you were messing with me.
How you doing, pal? Where are you at?
I'm in Wawa right now at the Outdoorsman Hotel.
The Outdoorsman. That's a sassy name. Is it like a bit of a lodge or just kind of a motel?
Man, honestly, Wawa's kind of cool in that way. Like, our temporary work headquarters is set up at the first hotel in town, the Wawa Motor Inn. And like where our like, work headquarters is like a bunch of like log cabins and stuff. And then like at this Outdoorsman hotel, it's like all like, tongue and groove pine and stuff. So it's kind of got a cottagey feel no matter where you go in town.
Nice, bud. I like it. There's some hardcore anglers from Wawa too. I've met a few. The Robinson family comes here and fishes that KWO. They actually won it this year. Jamie Robinson, he's from there. So there's some rich history in Wawa.
No kidding, eh? I actually went and checked out the bait shop there today. There was
Yeah.
a couple. They both worked for the M&R and just decided to leave the government job and do their own thing, and got a sweet little shop there. I went and bought some what are they called? The slick sticks there for Lindy rigging.
Oh yeah. You use those ice fishing much?
No, not ice fishing. Forgot we're supposed to be talking about ice fishing.
No, you can talk about whatever you want, bud. Thanks for jumping on. I didn't mention anything earlier, but kind of when I cranked this podcast out, um, the reason, part of the reason was to have guys like you on that, may not, people may not know who you are or may not have heard your stories. And I've been around you enough to know you've got, you've got the bug and you've got some good stories, especially around ice fishing, but you could talk about whatever you want, pal.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I know. I watched the show with Dom there, and he kept saying, "Oh man, you've had all these hammers on here, these elite guys. I feel unqualified." And I'm like, "Holy shit, Dom!" I'm thinking the same thing. Like, I'm not qualified either. But once you kind of explain that on that podcast, it's like, like you don't have to be a pro. Like everybody who fishes has got some cool fishing stories, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, and one of the things with the pros and people that are on podcasts all the time is everyone's already heard the kind of the stories they've got, so
Yeah,
um
for sure.
getting guys like you on is pretty wicked. So the one compromise is in order to keep the views up, usually it's going to be some like kind of clickbaity thumbnail. So when you're
Right.
looking for your podcast and you see like this crazy thumbnail that says with all these question marks and anger emojis, that's why.
Okay, right on. Yeah, I actually watched the one with Milliken there, and you guys talked about it quite a bit, and I didn't realize it was such a big thing. You know what I mean? I knew like the Lube Tube kids were doing it and stuff, but I didn't know it was like something everybody had to do now just to get views.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, I will never do that. But then I'm like, oh man, I put a lot of work into one of these videos. I'm like, may as well max this bitch out.
Well,
Like,
exactly. Yeah.
but yeah, man. How's it looking for you? Is there some ice going on around you, or are you thinking about that yet? Or you kind of hold off till trouting and late season walleye?
Well, I mean, every year's kind of different, and it's kind of based on where I'm working on the road at that time. Like if they got me shoved way down in southern Ontario or whatever, it's kind of hard to go home just for the weekend to do some ice fishing. And like I say, it depends on the year. Like usually, like for a lot of my life, I was whitetail hunting pretty hard at this time, but
Yep.
in the last couple of years, I've gotten like real heavy into the moose hunting. Like went on 2 like week-long trips moose hunting in different areas, and I just really got the bug for that, man. But
Yeah.
I don't know, like if I'm around home and like I can get on the ice early, like absolutely. But anyways, to answer your question, I was home on the weekend just for a quick turnaround. Like I'm in Wawa, it's a 10-hour drive to go home.
Yeah.
So it's like, you finish work on Friday, drive home, get home at like 2 a.m, and then you got like a 1 day at home essentially, and then it's like turn back around to Wawa. But when I was home on the weekend, Wabigoon had just locked up. It was minus 18 on Saturday night there, and she skimmed overnight on Saturday. Friday she was wide open, 3-foot rollers in front of the house.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
fish out there much in the winter? Like I'm itching, I'm chomping at the bit. I'm gonna come up there and do like a crappie video this winter, and I can't wait. Like I've got her circled on the calendar, and I know you live right on it. But when we fished the walleye masters, you looked at me, looked out off your deck. You're like, I don't ever fish this lake.
Well, honestly, man, from the time you messaged me, I'm like, man, I hope he's not hoping for some hammer with a bunch of local knowledge, because I don't have much to offer. Like I fished out there with a few buddies and this and that, and I'll go out there a few times a winter, like you say, to chase the crappies around. But like, I mean, not to bash Wabigoon, it's a super fruitful lake, as you know. But for whatever reason, ever since I moved to Dryden, I've kind of gravitated a lot more to Eagle, especially in the wintertime. Um, just kind of because I find it to be a little bit more consistent and like, you know, you can catch your dinner if that's what you're into, but you can also run into a big one, like, you know, pretty often. Like if I go out to Eagle early season, like I know we're gonna fill a pail, but like pretty good chance of catching a big fish, especially early season. Like where Kelsey and I like to go, we've caught 30 inchers.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Man, you guys are kind of spoiled around that Dryden area. Like Eagle's not far to
No, man.
either
Like
arm of it. You're right on Wabigoon. There's so many little back lakes. Like we're looking at back lakes right now, just trying to find some with ice. And I'm like, man, when I lived in Dryden, we'd just go up the Door Lake Road, smash them on any of these lakes, and like, you know, we're just scraping at lakes to try to fish. So I'm a little bit jealous of that.
yeah.
But okay, you're not an early ice guy. I get it.
No, like when you were on your video there the other day, like spudding out there and stuff, like
Yeah.
no, I can wait a week and let her lock up so it'll hold my ass, you know.
Okay. Well, it held me. Like it wasn't a weight issue. It was, I mean, it's just a matter of being stupid. Like I thought that was something you'd like grow out of, you know? We used to do it when we were whatever in high school, and it was like, okay, it's fine now, early 20s. And now, like me and Sean, you know, we're looking at each other, 32 and 33, spotting our way out to the middle of the lake. It's just like, what are we
Yeah,
doing? We'll do it again next year. It's just, I don't know, something about it. I like going early.
I was laughing when you had done a write up or whatever. I don't know if it was a post, but you're like, yeah, you know, like we got as close to the basin as we could, and it's like, oh yeah, so it's pretty sketchy then.
Oh, it was super sketchy. We couldn't get to the waypoint. We had to get on the edge of the basin and wait till dark until they went for a swim. We
Oh,
didn't
no
catch
kidding,
one.
eh?
Yeah, we never caught one until 5 o'clock.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was like deer hunting, like had to wait for them to come up.
No kidding, eh? I was actually gonna kind of save this story for later on, but like I
Yeah, get
haven't
into her.
yeah, I haven't so much you know, done sketchy stuff early season per se. Like I
Yeah.
mean, obviously the fishing can be right good this time of year too, but like in the springtime, you know, like when the walleyes are staging up for spawn, like I have a really hard time leaving it alone. You know what I mean? Like if season's still open, like I just want to go back out and catch one more big one. So
Yeah.
anyways, after the second year of Weeb's Derby, I was kind of like I caught some good fish or whatever, but like I was kind of bummed, you know what I mean? Like I never got that like mega that I was looking for, and I'm like, you know, I'm sure the ice is still good. I want to go give her one more kick at the cat, so I grabbed a buddy and we went out there. We were doubling. I used to have an 800 backcountry, and you know, I just had a single seat on it with my fishing box and my auger on top of the box.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you're talking like probably 500 pounds between two guys on one sled and then a fishing box full of gear, like way overloaded. But anyways,
Uh-huh.
to get to the spot we were going to, you have to portage across a couple different lakes. And you know, obviously we headed out there during the daytime. And I remember saying to Buddy, like, you know what, looks like it was like a marshy bay, you know, and those are the first ones to go usually.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to Buddy, like, man, that kind of looks a bit sketchy. Like it's starting to break from shore, but like I think we're good for today, but like not coming back tomorrow kind of thing, eh? So whatever, we go fishing, you know, it was worth it to go. Like even now in hindsight, like caught some good ones, but
Yeah.
on the portage trail on the way back, it was like a super steep hill down to the ice. And I had Buddy get off, whatever, you know what I mean? We made a plan. We weren't being totally stupid. And as I was getting close to the base of the hill, I gave her a bep bep to, you know, just jump over the water there, get on the safe ice and be good.
Yeah.
Well,
Standard brap. Standard
yeah,
brap.
but the problem was because I was going downhill, when my track hit the ice, it freaking busted it down at the water's edge. And, you know, all I could do was pry on her once it started to bust down, and it just broke like Lego blocks. So
Yeah.
now my tunnel, my seat, my track, everything's right underwater, and just the skis are sitting on the ice. And I try to get Buddy to just give me a ski pole, but it's glare ice. He's got no traction.
Yeah.
And he's looking at me like, what are we going to do? We're in the middle of nowhere. Like, we can't even walk out of here. And I'm like, just thinking in my head, like, I'm not panicking, but I'm like thinking, how am I getting out of this situation? Right. Like, so, anyways, like I said, the auger was strapped on top of the fishing box. The fishing box was Q-linked to the tunnel of the sled. Without hesitation, I undid the ratchet strap, threw the auger on the ice, went into the water, undid the Q-links, threw my fishing box on the ice, and I just jumped in the water. And Buddy's like, "What are you doing?" I jumped in the water. It was like 5 feet of water, grabbed the bumper, give her a shoulder press back up onto the ice. The sled was high and dry, putted her away from the bad spot, and away we go.
Bud. And
Yeah,
like,
and
yeah, I don't think like I know where you are, but no one listening knows how far away you are. Like how far away is the truck at this point?
I mean, I'd say it's about like halfway back, and she's about a 40-mile run back to the truck. So yeah, 20 miles.
20 miles from the rig.
Yeah.
Ice is gone, so no chance at anyone coming back through.
Yeah, and he's the buddy I had with me is like a good buddy, and like the next summer there, I was fishing with Kels, and he was with his wife, and we were kind of chuckling to each other, and then finally broke the news to them that summer. Like we said, we weren't ever going to tell them what happened, but anyways, there was enough time had passed, and they got a good chuckle out of it, so at least it was well received.
Oh man.
Yeah, and like honestly, like for people watching too, like I know you said when you were spudding out there, like you had a floater suit on, and like, you know what I mean, you were taking precautions. I mean, it's a funny story in hindsight, but like probably good to be safe around shitty ice, eh? Because a fish ain't worth a guy's life, eh?
Yeah, it's terrifying. One year, it was actually in February on Family Day. I was fishing with a big crew on Lake of the Woods, and I slid up onto a hump. We were kind of near a current area, and they had cracked the dam open, but we didn't know. That's just kind of a thing that happens, and the ice looked a little bit shady, but like we had trucks parked on it and everything. It's mid-February, like no concern. And I walked up and like started drilling out the hump and just went right through with my auger, and it went down run, and it was a brand new laser mag, like the ones with the blue flight and the red
Yeah.
power head. Like everyone had a Model 30 Jiffy and like was still on their first hole from the beginning of the year trying to drill it. And I had this thing. I was like winging out there, and I go through. It's like my second day with it. Goes down running, lose the whole auger. Buddy of mine laid out and like saved my ass. And I got home, and Ashley's like, "What the hell happened to you?" I was like, "I fell through the ice." And she's just like, "Oh yeah." It was just like whatever, like probably thinking I went through on shore somewhere or like whatever, got into some slush, and she's like, "Oh, we're going to the city next week." And I was like, "Oh, perfect. I got to get a new auger." And she's like, "Well, what the hell happened to your auger?" I was like, "Oh, I went through. Like she gone, boss."
Out in the deep water, yeah, no turning back.
Oh yeah, it was brutal. I mean, I've been falling through the ice a lot late in the season, and it's just like, near shore, and like, yeah, whatever. It's like almost recreational at that point. Never have gone through first ice, but yeah, the most serious one was in February.
Wow, eh? Like in like you said, just current, eh?
Yeah, just an extra factor. I mean, that's why the spot was so damn good.
Right.
But you take current and reefs, like rock reefs, it's just the perfect recipe. They just like the water just slides right up it, and right at the top of every hump is that soft spot.
Right.
I'm definitely
actually
a little more cautious around it now.
You had Jankin on here. I've been following Assorted Meat since he fired up there, and watched some of his videos, like fishing around current up there. And I'm thinking to myself, man, like this guy like must know what he's looking for. You know what I mean? Like it was like pretty heavy current, so much so that like it was drifting his bait, so he had to compensate for that and have his transducer over or something. I'm pretty sure. So it's like
we've got
current.
that on Woods, bud. It's a thing on Lake of the Woods near Kenora.
No kidding,
it sucks. Like put your flasher in a hole back towards you because that's where the jig's going.
I guess you know what? Like in February, like I fished the Rainy River for walleyes, and like same deal, right? You got current and you got to compensate for it. But I thought, yeah, like him being way up there, like nobody around to help you if something happens or if a chunk breaks off or whatever, eh? But he goes hard, eh?
Oh yeah. I'm actually going with him on Saturday. We're gonna go around Kenora.
Oh, wicked.
Yeah. Go do a little go to a little lube tube, a collab, I think they call it.
Oh yeah, right on.
Oh yeah, man. Well, we got to get into this a little bit. You referred to it earlier, but it was the Aaron Weeb. I think it was called like Beat Aaron Weeb Walleye Challenge.
So
Is that what it's called?
the first year it was Uncut Angling versus everybody.
Okay, I'll stop you
And
there. I'll stop you
okay,
there.
all right.
So Weeb Uncut Angling. Everyone knows who Aaron Weeb is. Uncut Angling. He had this big tournament, North America wide. It was like an online catch, record, release deal. And there was like some wild. Everyone's like, "Oh, the Bay of Quinte will win like that time of year." Or was it the Ohio River?
I'm
No,
thinking it's
Columbia
the
River.
Columbia River where Chad Halverson fishes.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, well, that one's got like 35 inchers, so no one's gonna have a chance. And this is the first time I ever really heard of Colin, because he ended up winning the total. Like there was a big fish part of it, and then there was your 3 biggest walleyes over the time period. It was like the month of March or whatever it was. And Colin won it like 100 miles from where I live with, the biggest walleyes in North America. And I was like, oh my God, that guy's got a good spot, or like is really hardcore. And then I hung out with Colin a little bit this summer in a walleye tournament, and he got into the story a little bit about how it went. And it wasn't like he just wheeled up on a spot and caught a bunch of giants. So if there was a fishing podcast back then, he for sure would have been covered in it, but there wasn't. So we got to bring it up now. And I got to hear the story start to finish, bud. It was like the snippets you gave me. I had to duck lip you and tell you to shut up because I want to hear these on a podcast. So
well, I was even thinking last night there when I sent you that barrage of pictures, I'm like, maybe he's going to be annoyed. He probably just wants to hear the story on here, but
yeah, that's why I ghosted you.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm used to it.
I honestly wasn't bad. I went to bed at 9:25. Ashley's been putting me through these like freaking 21-day fixes things, and I was just like so sore I couldn't even sit there any longer. I just went to bed. But and I woke up and I was like, whatever, I'm talking to him tonight anyway. So go ahead.
Yeah, right on. All right. Well, so like I can remember like because I used to follow like all the YouTubers pretty hard. Like recently I can kind of like switch my focus to follow more like the elite guys and stuff. But anyways, at the time, I was following all his stuff regularly, and I remember when he first started coming out with the ads for it, I was like, man, like I honestly don't know like, how big the walleyes are anywhere else in the world, but like these ones we catch, I've never seen anything like it. Like, man, I think if we did this derb, like we could probably do some damage, but not that we were like the pioneers of that area or anything. Like we definitely weren't the first guys to ever be there. I'm not ever going to lay claim that it's my spot and has my name on it. But once my buddy introduced me to it, when I moved to Dryden in 2015, I just fell in love with it right away, and I couldn't get enough of it. So anyways, to my surprise, buddy was like, we should go do Weeb's Derby. And the reason I thought that, he would never want to do it is like, it wasn't our spot or by any means, but like we were super secretive about it, right? Like we had actually been going and doing that camping trip out there like 4 or 5 years prior to the tournament ever happening. Like we started doing it in 2015, and we wouldn't like tell anybody about it, wouldn't post pictures, like, you know what I mean? Like we could go out there and like not see somebody for a week. And like, to me, man, like getting the street cred for posting these big pics was not worth, having company there, like ever.
Yeah.
But once Buddy said that he was going to do it, I was like, whatever, I'll jump on board. And like, if I'm going to do it, I'm like hammering right down. Like I work forestry, so laid off in the winter time. And it's like, if I'm doing it, like full on. So anyways, like we were doing the camping trip anyways. And it was like, so now we're doing our camp trip we always do anyways, but like now there's like a tournament element to it. So it's like, you know what I mean? It just made it that much more exciting. So anyways, I think the first year we were out there for 7 days. And in the first year of the Derby, you didn't actually have to enter your fish each day. Like, you know what I mean? In theory, we could have stayed out there all 7 days and then just uploaded our catches at the end kind of thing and see how it
Yeah.
shook out. But as you know, after about 3 or 4 days, the guy needs to have a shower, eh? So
Yeah. So hold up here for a second. You're saying, you're saying camping trip, and we're going on a camping trip, and it's sounding pretty soft. When lay out the scene a little bit. When you say camping trip, you're up in that same area where you said it's 40 miles from your truck. And when you mean camping, like it's March and you're camping on the ice.
oh
Like
yeah,
you're
like
you're
there's been
sleeping out
nights
there in your
there's been nights where we've had 20 below straight up. But like basically the main reason for why it ever turned into a camping trip is like it was basically a 2-hour trip, like by truck slash sled to get like, from home to the hole.
yeah.
And like it's an evening bite, no doubt, with like a 20-minute bite window, and then maybe not a bite window in the morning that's unpredictable. So it was like if you knew that you were going to go there fishing multiple days, just the travel back and forth, like 2 hours each way, it was just like not ideal. And so, we opted to camp and just made ourselves as comfortable as possible. And that's what we did, man. It was
For
awesome.
a week. And you had done it before for a week.
Yeah, like every year we did it for a week, like I said, for 4 or 5 years before the Derby ever happened. And like, when we first started doing it, we were rookies at it. And, like
Yeah.
things like waking up in a pool of water, like you've talked about on your channel, and,
Yeah.
waking up cold and waking up with a bit of a headache because you don't have enough venting. And
Yeah. The
I don't
propane
know.
sleepies.
Yeah, and honestly, man, my dad, was really worried about me a lot for that. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just and it is a real thing, but like, I definitely make sure that I have good ventilation now, and gotta be smart about it. But anyways, where was that story? Where were we at? What was the last thing?
You're just said you'd camp before the Derby is here, and you're going hard in the paint for the
Yeah,
Derby.
yeah. So anyways, it's on. So we're going to do our normal camping trip like we've done in years past. And I think what we did is we fished hard for 3 days. And I think in those first 3 days, I had like 2 or 3 like real good ones, like, 30 plusers.
Yeah.
And buddy, like we did the morning bite of like the fourth morning, I would say. And then he ran home, midday, had a shower, whatever, came back
Yeah.
out.
Wow.
And he said to me, he's like, "Bud, you're leading the derb." And I'm like, "Cool." So anyways, we fished the evening bite together. I don't think we got any more recordable fish. And then after the evening bite, I actually left him and he stayed camped out, and I ripped back home for the night. Just had a quick purr at home, had a shower, and then
Yeah.
got back out there for the morning bite. You know what I mean? Like we kind of had to leave a guy on the ice just to watch our stuff in the event somebody came or whatever, right? Like we had lots of stuff out there.
Right.
So anyways, kind of had like a midweek shower and recharge, and then grinded her out for another 3 or 4 days. And then yeah, man, after the 7 days and the tourney concluded, I had my best 3 walleye stringer was 91.75 inches.
Yeah.
And then
Man.
actually buddy that I was fishing with got the runner up, and he had 90.75 inches.
Unreal.
Yeah.
And how many like 29 inches did you catch?
Man, you don't even count. You just check them on the bump board. They don't make the grade. You dump them back. I mean, it's not always that unreal. Like, truth be told, like, there's kind of a perfect storm that like makes the bite real good, and only kind of caught on to that by spending weeks out there. You know what I mean? You get to learn a lot about the place.
I guess so. So you're fishing
Yeah.
the same spot. Like you're not moving around on the spot at all. It's all just right. Like that's where
Well,
you are.
it depends. Like, there's a few different spots out there that they'll kind of like pull up on in the evening. So like, there's a couple spots where it's like a big, like expansive flat, and you don't really know which side of it they're gonna pull up on. So like I said, by fishing it, for 30 days over the course of how many years, like you kind of get the feel for where those sweet spots are and what side of the flat that they're likely to come up on. But it can be a lot of a camping and waiting game. Like it's not really a run and gun deal, because you know what I mean? When you got a 20-minute bite window, you definitely want to make sure you're in a high percentage spot, right?
What did you do for like the 12 hours during the day?
Grinded, stared at my flasher. Because the thing is, like, not that it happens often, man, but like you can get a midday gift. I remember one year we were out there camping, and we literally pull into like great shallow water. It was like 14 feet of water or something. You could tell on the flasher it was all weeds. And we were just having a fire, gonna cook some smoked dogs,
Yeah.
And dude, seriously, double header 30s, like 11:30 noon.
No.
But like that doesn't happen all the time. Like you couldn't replicate that. I think just they kind of cruise, and you can get lucky and run into one midday. But like, the
Did
bites
you catch any
definitely.
during the day in that week that you were up there?
I made nothing like, of mention, like maybe some smaller ones, but definitely not any of like our entry fish.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Man, that's a
And
long time.
yeah,
7 days at 12 hours, 96 hours and of nothing, and then 104 2 hours and 20 minutes based on a 20-minute bite window of bites.
yeah.
That's insane.
But
I feel like you might have been able to do that anywhere if you're going that hard. That's insane.
I don't know. Like I've
Obviously,
like I like
especially.
chasing big lake trout and stuff too, and like I got some buddies that aren't as heavy into fish, and they're like, "How do you catch those big fish?" And it's like, man, honestly, like it's not all me. Like I spend a lot of time fishing, and I pay attention, and I try new things, but I don't know. In my opinion, like if you want to go after big fish, you got to be where they live, right?
Yeah.
You
And
know what I mean? Like,
not just show up for like 2 hours and be like, "Eh,"
yeah, yeah.
especially for lake trout. Like, are any of those lake trout lakes you fish, like, do you get like one bite a day, or you're just cracking all the time and then catch a giant one? Because I know a lot of those like northern Manitoba lake trout lakes, they just like they won't catch one for a couple of days and then they'll get a 25 or 30 pounder.
Well, and I think too, when those guys are, having, 2 days of dead time and then catch a big one, like they're swinging for big ones, eh? Like I'm sure there's other spots they could go and catch numbers of fish, but they're probably fishing a certain way to go for a big bite, eh?
Right.
I would
Right.
think, anyways. But no, like I guess it depends what lake you're fishing. Like there's certain lakes that like, there's not a lot of lake trout, but like if you run into one, it's going to be a good one. Probably a lot like, certain areas on Lake of the Woods there. Not that I can speak from experience, but then, you
Yeah.
do have other lakes where, there's a lot of like really nice medium fish, like 10 to 13 pounders. And then you have your normal lake trout lakes. Like in my opinion, I think all lake trout lakes hold big lake trout. It's just, certain ones you have a better chance of running into a big one.
Yeah. Fair enough. Um, so when you first told me this winter camping story, I was like, as soon as I hear winter camping, my eyes just roll into the back of my head. And that's only because the YouTubers killed it. They took something that was a thing. Like I know, like I'll talk about northern Manitoba again, but I know they went hard. It was a thing up there it has been for years. It's just been a thing. Uh, you've been doing it long before it became popular. Like it was a thing, and now it's like I've seen people do it. Like I'll drive down the ice road on Lake of the Woods and there'll be people winter camping 10 minutes from town. It's like, oh, you don't have to do this.
No.
So that's why I harp on it so much. But I can't appreciate like how hardcore you have to be to do it. And I've done it. And that's why I know that it's not just the glamour you see in it in an 18-minute lube tube video of, oh, waking up, bacon and eggs. Like, no, it's like wake up, walk over to find your frying pan, slip on your tiles, roll around in water. All you want is a shower. Everything's damp from propane burning all night. What I'll stop there because the list goes on and on and on. So like what did you learn most about it? Because you said at the beginning you were pretty green on it.
Yeah. So like you said, I mean, like we probably wouldn't have done it if we could have returned home every night, but like it was just kind of, it made it actually easier, and like you could kind of get around the discomfort because it was almost like moose hunting, staying in a prospector's tent. You know what I mean? It's not ideal. It's not as comfortable at home, but like it's
Right.
still fun in its own way. But yeah, like waking up with, pools of water on the floor and just cold. But honestly, man, I got a pretty dialed system now. And I was actually just telling Buddy before the podcast that was asking me about this, because I was kind of telling him the story.
Yeah.
And I said, honestly, dude, I got so dialed, I would literally sleep in my sleeping bag in just my underwear and roll out of bed in the morning with my bare feet. Like, you know what I mean? I didn't have to have full duds on or sleep in bibs or anything like that.
Yeah.
So my portable shack is, it's like one of the newer Otters there, the resort. So like the biggest one they got there.
Yeah.
And it's insulated. And it has like the side exit doors, which are like the best thing since bubble gum.
Right. Oh,
And
right. You've got a flip over, like a tub style.
that's right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
swear by them. I really like them. I'm not a big fan of pop outs, to be honest.
Yeah, I hear you there.
So one of the things I learned is like, because we'd always go towards the spring, and like name of the game is staying out of the water, right? So I would like, pick my footprint where I was gonna set up, drill my hole or whatever, so that I don't have the shack set up and then got to drill holes after. And then I would actually like find whatever snow that I could find around and like pack it down, get a real good base. And then those foam mats that you get at Walmart, instead of just doing one layer, you do 2 layers, and it just provides that much more insulation. And like that snow that you pack down there basically turns into ice, and it never leaks through. Like literally I had her set up for 10 days on the second derby, and it was just like home when I took her down at the end of it.
And most people are scraping her down to the ice thinking they're doing the right thing.
Yeah, you don't want to be doing that unless you want to be in a puddle. So like anyways, my setup, like, you know what I mean, I always had somebody there with me, or usually. So I'd put like one cot that would fit snug as a bug in a rug and right in the front of the shack, and then the other cot would go right in the tub, like right in the sleigh.
Yeah.
And then you got the big buddy on the one end, the door that you don't use, propane tank outside, Coleman stove shoves under the cot that's at the front of the shack. And roll out of bed, pull the Coleman from under the other cot there, fire up the coffee, and get fishing.
You don't keep lines in all night?
Yeah, so in the shack, because you kind of got limited room in the flip over, that's kind of one downside as opposed to like a big 9-man pop out, but honestly, like from my experience, you don't need a big string or a line set up all night. Like it's as long as you got one in the shack, the odd chance of actually getting a bite after dark is pretty slim. So, just one hole in there is what I do for that setup.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, sounds like you got that part dialed in.
Yeah. Do you got a time limit for how long you're shooting for this to be?
No, don't worry about it, bud. Why? What's up? You got a cooker of a story?
No, well, kind of. Like,
I mean,
we're just on year 1, and
okay. Well, let me grab a beer.
I'm gonna grab a Perrier. Strawberry kiwi.
No, hey, bud, you take all the time you need. The YouTube algorithm doesn't care after a certain amount of minutes. Like pretty much once you go over half an hour, it may as well be 3 hours. So if you got stories, keep them coming. I'm hanging off every word. It's interesting to me, and usually that means that other people are too. So keep bringing the juice. I like you know, is this your first like podcast interview kind of thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
I was actually like telling some buddies around work, like, yeah, man, like I'm jumping on a podcast tonight. Like, you know, I talk a lot to a lot of different people, but like I was kind of nervous, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
and
you're good at talking. I'll tell you that. You're
yeah,
natural.
well, I remember when we were like at the Walleye Derby there, and you know, I'd like go up and talk to everybody, and you said to me, you're like, "Do you know everybody?" And it's like everybody that'll talk to me, sure, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
You got the
Um,
gift of gab for sure. So keep running it, bud. Run that yak.
Yeah, right on. So yeah, the first year, anyways, just to conclude it, sort of thing. After the 7 days, you know, entered the last of the fish, kind of saw how things shook out. So as I said, like I won for the stringer three biggest walleye, and then he also had prizes for like, you know, first to 10th kind of thing. So of
Yes.
the top 10, I got the third, fifth, and sixth prizes. Um, Probably should have been second, but I think he kind of squeezed me out there because I was already winning a bunch of stuff. But whatever, I'm not looking to talk any smack. But anyways, that year, the
He
first
can
year,
take it.
yeah. That year, Chad Halverson won with like a 31 and a quarter, and I'm thinking to myself, like, I've caught bigger ones than that there, and like this is an attainable goal. You know what I mean? Like I gave her right till the end, but you know it just didn't happen. I think the biggest one was like it was like a 31 incher, but like kind of dropped the ball and didn't pinch the tail to give it like the proper justice. So, anyways, he gave me a
Right.
30 and three quarter for it. But on the second year, um, I guess I'll back up a little bit. So, anyways, third, fifth, and sixth, whatever. Year goes by. Ended up starting to talk to Weeb a little bit, and you know he was like telling me that he was going to be planning another one, whatever. And so on the second year, that was in 2020. The first year was 2019. Second year was 2020.
Yeah.
And the second one was called Fishing Fights Cancer. And I remember leading up to that one because of what happened the year before. A bunch of people I knew and a bunch of buddies were like, "Are you going to do Weeb's Derby again?" And I didn't really want to like, you know, show my cards. I'm like, I don't know, like maybe if it works out, but like here in the background, like I'm getting prepped. We're doing it again. Like, um, so actually, buddy that I did it with the first year, he couldn't get the time off work or whatever, so he called me up
Yeah,
and
you
he's like,
probably told him the wrong dates. You're just playing for keeps.
yeah, didn't want any competition out there. But anyways, he said, "Yeah, man, I can't make it, but like by all means, like go out there and hammer on him again." So that's what I did. But there was kind of a twist in the second year. Shuffled the deck a bit. We've had it set up so that like, you know, it was a different prize for each day. So essentially, what that meant is like each day of fishing, you had to enter your fish before midnight.
So
So
you
like,
needed cell service.
yeah, you couldn't just, and there was no cell service out there, so you couldn't just like
Yeah.
finish the evening bite, upload your fish, and you know have dinner and go to bed. It was like finish the evening bite, whatever time that ends, like maybe 8:30 that time of year, I think. And freaking me and Buddy jump on the sled and 40-mile rip to the truck, and then a rip down the highway, and I actually bought a cell booster for my truck to send
Yeah.
my, you know what I mean, just to catch that 1 bar service, but you need like 3 bars to send a picture, so I bought a booster for it.
Right.
And so yeah, every night after the evening bite, man, I'd rip out like an hour trip or whatever, and upload the fish, and then head her back for bed.
Really.
So on that second year leading up to it,
Were the daily prizes pretty big? Like was there like big daily prizes? I didn't really look.
like pretty good. The prizes were quite similar to what they were the first year. So like I won a Vexlar both years,
Yeah.
won a Strikemaster the second year.
Beautiful.
Basically each year I won about like $3,000 or $3,500 worth of prizes. It
Right. So
was about the same.
you weren't driving the truck to win like a pack of jigs.
Well,
Like it was.
no, but I just like was super excited, you know what I mean, about the competitive part about it, you know, like, I mean, probably could have just went and bought that stuff on my own, you know what I mean? It wasn't so much about like what I was going to win, you know what I mean? I was like, wasn't like,
Yeah.
I really want this Vexlar. I've been just dying to get a Vexlar, you know what I mean? It wasn't,
Yeah,
wasn't
they're
really
the up
like
and
that.
comers these days in ice fishing.
Yeah. So anyways, leading up to that one, I had a good fishing buddy, actually, Mike Baduke. I talked about him a
Yeah,
bit when we fished together this
yeah.
summer, and he's like, "Hey man, like, are you doing that derby?" And like I said, he's a super good fishing buddy. Like he's good. Like he'll show me his juice, and he knows that I'm not going to tell a soul, and I'll do the same. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of good that way. Not a lot
Yeah.
of people that you're going to tell your stuff to, but I was like, yeah, man, I think I am going to do it. Kelsey's going to come out for the first weekend. Then I think I'm going to be solo after that. And he's like, well, bud, I'm off work right now. Like, if you need a net man, let me know. So, anyways, I literally like sent him like a trail on Navionics on my phone, coordinates, how to get there, whatever. And so after Kelsey and I fished the first weekend, he come and joined me, and we had a time.
Yeah,
It
bud.
was like, you know what I mean? Both years was pretty similar fishing. Like I caught 4 over 30 each year. And like I said, you had to enter fish each day on the second year. So I think I took the first prize 3 out of the 10 days. And then like I had like a second or something like that. But like the one story that like I really remember and I'll never forget, man, it's wicked. Like, so we uh we go and fish a spot like little ways away from where our camp was set up,
Yeah.
and we caught them good. Like I think we caught like probably 10 that night, and 3 real good ones, and we each caught a 30-incher that night, a 30 and a half, I think it was.
Mhm.
And so right like as the evening bite was kind of concluding, it started to pour rain. And man, like we fished through the rain until like the bite was done, and then like went back to camp, bud, and like the tent was leaking like all over our beds and everything.
Yeah, those things
And
aren't made to be
yeah,
like waterproof.
and obviously with it raining, like it was mild temperatures and stuff. But I'm like thinking, what am I gonna do here? And literally, man, like I wasn't going home. Like that wasn't an option. I was gonna sleep wet if I had to. And I flicked the heater onto high, and
Yeah.
did the rip back to the truck. And man, just by luck, by the time we went back out to the truck, entered our fish, and came back, the rain had let up, which was like kind of a godsend. And man, the big buddy dried her right out, and she was ready for sleepy time when we got back. Um,
Nice one, just had her
but
chooching, plus a little
yeah,
added propane sleepy to really get you down.
yeah, could have been. So it continued to kind of drizzle, but like didn't rain hard, like not enough rain the rest of the night to like leak through, and we had enough heat in the tent. It was fine.
Yeah.
Um, but like leading up to that, we were getting some pretty crisp nights yet, eh? Like it was the last week of March. And you weren't really getting that consistent, like nice warm spring weather all the time. So anyways, I looked at Mike and I'm like, bud, this is the first night like where it's, the holes aren't going to freeze over. We're going to take advantage of this, and we're putting our set lines out. And he's like, all right. So like we're literally talking like 11:30 at night. I'm out there drilling a stringer of holes, eh? And
Yeah.
and Mike's getting the set lines ready to go, whatever. And we get them all set up. Like I said, we got the one in the shack, and then 3, ran out across this flat. And whatever, go all night, not a jingle. That's not surprising. And
Yeah.
then it's like, 7 in the morning, kind of just waking up. It's starting to get light out. And we had bells, eh? And I thought I could hear a bell, and I open up the window of the otter and look out, and one of the set lines we set up from the night before was going off. And I hit Mike, and I'm like, Mike, your rod's going off, man. And he's like, you better not be messing with me. And I'm like, no, seriously, man, go catch that fish. Like, it's your rod. You reel the opposite hand to me. Like, go catch that fish. Like, don't let that fish get away. So whatever, he gets out of bed, goes and catches the fish. It's like not a big one, like, I don't know, 21, 22 inch or something like that.
Right.
And then, so anyways, whatever, catches the fish, sets his rod up again, comes back in the tent. And by this time we got the coffee on. And a few minutes later, his rod goes off again. He goes and catches another one about the same size. And then, you know, whatever, resets up. And then my rod's going off. And I go and catch one. And the first 3 fish were all like clones, like 21, 22 inches, like not what we're after, you know? And like literally when I went out to get mine, Brucey, I had to crawl out of my sleeping bag and I was in my gitch and no shirt. Literally got out of bed, threw the rubber boots on. What's that?
Oh, you're in full camp mode at this time then. Like nature was starting to take you back.
Yeah. So anyways, get out of my sleeping bag, throw my rubber boots on, literally just wearing gitch, no shirt. Go out to my rod, catch the fish, you know, 21, 22 inch or whatever. Rebait, drop the rod, drop the line back down. Don't even get to bottom, dude. And I just feel a bonk on the line. And I said to Mike, I'm like, bud, one just grabbed it. He's like, shut up, he says. And whatever, like let it eat a bit, reel down on it, put the wood to him, and get the fish up. And it's a freaking giant, like a 31 inch, just a brick of a fish.
Mega.
Yeah, it's actually the one that Lake of the Woods Sports posted there. And like I'm literally in the picture wearing this sweater and my gitch. Yeah, that's how that was my biggest fish of the week, man. That's how it was caught. All because we put that stringer of lines out the night before.
Oh man, and they're so fat too. Like I'm thinking of that picture now, and they're just like yeah, they're all like 30, 31 inches, whatever. But like lots of those fish are like 12 pounders, right? Like what's the biggest one you weighed?
You know what? I've never weighed them because like I'm not gonna dangle one of them fish by the jaw
scale.
And I don't bring like a bag out with me, and it's I don't know. Like
someone had to have weighed one at one point though to get a
baseline. So I think like, you know, if you catch like a totally filled out like 32 incher, you're probably going to be flirting with the 14 pound mark. Like you might get 14 pounds, but like that 31 incher, I would imagine was like, you know, high 12s, maybe a 13 pounder. Yeah. But I mean, that's literally just guessing. And I mean, I don't really tell anybody that like, yeah, this fish was like this weight unless I actually weighed it with a scale. You know what I mean? Like,
right. You're the only honest angler.
Well, maybe it's because like I haven't really been an overly competitive angler in the past. Like, you know,
it sounds like you are, man. Like you're running out of ice shocks and you're going on your whatever 5th day of winter camping to try to win 3 jigs and a Vexlar. You for sure. Yeah. There's some competitive drive in there somewhere. Did you fish any tournaments before this? Like, or did this kind of spark your derby going?
Well, I mean, I kind of touched on this with you in the past. Like growing up, my dad was a tournament angler, like primarily Fort, but like they went and did Bassin and KBI and stuff. And I sent you a picture from when I was 8 years old.
Yeah, I'm still unclear on the story. I'm still unclear. Like, were you? I got to hear the story because I know you told me, but my mind doesn't always
yeah, no worries. So my dad fished with Dennis Barnard, and you met him last year.
Legend,
he put a little bit of a derby on there, and you went with Goldie. So yeah, in 2000, they won the Fort Francis Canadian Bass Championship. And like, you know, from the time I was just a little toddler, like I was always going to the big tent to like watch dad fish. And, you know, at that time, like the Linders were always there. And it was like, you know,
Moina was probably dominant back then too.
Well, yeah, that's what I said to you. And I sent a picture. Moina and Thrun were going to 3-peat that year. and my dad and Barney beat them by 1/3 of a pound.
Probably saved the tournament.
Yeah, maybe. And then Moyna went on to like win a few more times in
But whatever, like if there's a touring pro that's winning a local, you know, if he would have won 5 years in a row or whatever, but you know, it's nice of the local boys to step up and throw a stick in the spokes of his super cycle, you know, knock him off one year, let him skin up his knee and keep the trophy there for a year.
Yeah,
That's
for
a
sure,
big
man.
deal.
It's super
That's a
cool. And
real
like
big deal.
what's even cooler too, Brucey, is like that following year in 2001, the Ballon brothers won, eh? So like 2 local teams back-to-back years when it was been, you know, getting ran by this pro tour guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's sweet. I didn't know if like you subbed in for a day when you were a kid or what this story was.
No, my dad and Barney won it, and I was just so super pumped about dad winning the Derb, and ran up there and stood under the trophy. But
Yeah,
anyways,
because
back to
you
your
texted me
question.
a picture of the trophy and you were a kid touching it. You're like, oh, whatever. I've you know, I'm gonna have 30 years of trying to raise this trophy again. I was like, oh shit, like maybe subbed in for a day and like I didn't really know.
Yeah, I was
That
like,
makes more sense.
been waiting 22 years to touch the wood, I said.
Yeah.
So anyways, the reason I kind of told that backstory, you asked about like my tournament fishing.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the very first tournament that I ever fished was actually with Barney. My dad actually got out of tournament fishing long before Barney did. And he had a different partner, but Barney's partner had some like health issues. So like in 2015, he asked me to fill in, and you know, we had a pretty good first day, and then second day we really cracked on him. And man, like going into day 3, like we were sitting in second. Like it was like,
Whoa,
man, like
you
it
really cracked on him then.
well, truth be told though, like that year the weights were super low. Like I think our day 1 bag was like 1690, and then day
Right.
2 was like 1750. Or no,
Okay. It was one of them.
1790, just shy 18, which is not
Right.
a slouch of a sack, but you wouldn't think you'd be in
On a
second in a
bad
big
year though,
derby.
it
Like,
is. Like,
yeah. So anyways, yeah, man, like we just
tent
absolutely,
ride and everything then.
yeah. And you and I talked about that a little bit in the boat. Like you said, like that does something to a lot of guys, you know what I mean? Like to get that experience, like, so anyways, like even though we only caught like 13 pounds on the last day, and it didn't happen, like man, I felt like super fortunate to like be in that spot, like, you know, being as inexperienced as I was. And it definitely did make me hungry. But just with like how much I've had to travel for work, like thus far, like I never really jumped in at both feet. And like I said, if I'm gonna do something, like I do it. So
Yeah.
um you know, just so everybody else knows, you know this already, but I just finally took a full-time job in Fort Francis this coming
Yeah,
year
bud.
after traveling, being on the road for 13 years. And like, so now I'm thinking like, man, I can get off work at 3 o'clock, jump into London, go fishing every day. Like, so
And you'll do it too.
yeah, in the last week I ponied up for 5 derbs for this year, and we're probably going to add to the list.
Beauty, bud. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
What's the list?
So gonna do Sulacot walleye,
Yeah.
Dryden Walleye Masters. I'm gonna
Yeah.
go and do Bill and Nell's derb there, casting for cash.
Yeah. Good pick.
Yeah, and then I'm doing Fort with a buddy from I Falls. And
Uh-huh.
then for my 5th one, I was thinking either labels, or I'm kind of curious about going to do the Muskie Cup again. I did the Muskie Cup once, and
Yeah, a little variety. A little variety here. I
man,
like
it
that.
was super cool. Yeah, I love fishing for everything. I don't
Yeah,
know,
the
just
Muskie
like
Cup looks like it's got a good crew there too.
yeah.
Sounds like it's pretty fun.
It's super fun, man. Like people aren't like super secretive and tight-lipped and stuff. It's like, you know, we're having fish follow on this, whatever. You know, people aren't like as secretive as they would be like in a bass derby or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
because in bass derbies, like it's all people just trying to beat each other's ass all year. In a muskie derby, it's like, oh, we're here for the one time this happens every year, and then we're just back to, you know, being buddies. I would guess has something to do with it. And there really haven't been musky terms. It's only been going on for like what, 8 years or so?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Maybe a little
not
bit
super
longer,
long
but
time, anyways. Yeah.
not long enough to make everyone like turn on each other. Not that that's the bass game, but she's a lot more. Seems like it's a lot more competitive.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. One kind of story I sort of skipped over there when I was telling the story though is, after day 3 we only caught like 13 pounds. I'm a little bit bummed. Like I was hoping to seize the opportunity and like catch a bag and make it interesting. We ended up finishing in 9th, I think, all said and done. But if we would have upgraded the one squeaker in the bag to like just like a 3-pounder or something, we'd have had 15 pounds and like could have had second. I think we still needed like 17 or 18 pounds to win. So like we had to upgrade a few fish to kind of make that grade. But I don't know if you know the fellas or not. I think they're pretty competitive. Steve and Scott Sandberg.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I know them from when I used to fish there. I remember seeing them.
So they were leading going into the last day, and I'm just sitting on the boat chilling. Like I know I'm not gonna win. I'm not like nervous, anything like that. And anyways, one of the brothers comes up to me, and he's like, "You guys got him? You guys got him?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, bud, cracked him." And anyways, freaking go through and weigh in 13 pounds. But I had those boys shaking, man. Like after I said that to him, he turns around and he tells his brother, "Yeah, they caught him, whatever." Yeah, those guys were just shaking in their boots. It was hilarious.
Oh yeah. You have to. You have to play the game. I love that.
Yeah.
It makes you, when you're doing it though, sometimes you forget that you actually didn't catch them.
Yeah.
You can get caught up in it a little bit. I've done it enough times. But dude, to make you feel better, the first time I ever went to Fort Francis, we made the tent, which was the goal. We were like 19. And made the tent and just like totally rookie, like did so much dumb shit the next day. And we got our limit. We had 8.03. So we went from 4th place to 39th.
Holy cats.
Yeah, bud. That's just inexperienced. And that's like, we have these 3-day derbies up here and people just think that's how it is. That is not how it is. There are 0 3-day open team tournaments in the US.
Is that right?
Might be, maybe there's one on the Great Lakes. Maybe the one on the West Coast, like that one bass, but no, it doesn't exist. And here it's like everywhere. You would have got second. But that's that 3-day derby. And back in the day, Frank McClymont, I remember my father-in-law asked him, he's like, "Why 3 days?" And he's like, "That's what separates the boys from the men." And I remember leading bassing for bucks after 2 days, knowing I was screwed one year. And it was a boat was first place. And I'm like, we're boys. Just give us the damn boat.
Yeah. So like in hindsight, like now having the experience compared to back then, like now you might clue in that like whatever you were doing the day before like wasn't happening and you had to switch it up, and like that just kind of comes with experience.
Yeah, every tournament. And the one thing you learn is like managing your fish. Like in a 1-day or 2-day tournament, you can just blast them. If you're in one of those lucky scenarios where they're just hanging out in the same zone, you can just go blast them. And sometimes you have to leave them biting, and a lot of people will tell you not to, but I've seen it enough times. We wouldn't have won KBI without leaving them biting. It's just how it is. Like you have to give up the lake record or the big bag of the weekend to run the marathon and win after 3 days. Just add some whiskers, I think. And like I said, this is the only place where that happens. On the Bassmaster, you have to qualify for the 3rd and 4th days to fish. So, but everywhere else is just like 1 or 2 days.
Right.
So you got some whiskers right out of the gate as soon as you jumped in her.
Yeah, I guess so. The one thing I was going to mention to you at the start of the podcast there, Brucey, is I've watched all the episodes there, and even though I'm kind of like a ground level guy, like I can relate to like basically every guy that you've had on this podcast. And I watched one of Ben Milliken's videos there, like his announcement that he was going to start fishing the opens. And
Yeah.
like he said straight up, like, all you guys that follow me on YouTube think I'm just gonna roll in there and just win it all. And he's like, I'm telling you guys right now, like, I'm not expecting to win right away. Like, I got a lot to learn. And I was like thinking to myself, it's like, even though I've been fishing my whole life and I take it seriously and I love it, like, I absolutely know that I'm not gonna go walk into the Fort Derby and go through the tent next year. You know what I mean? Like, it could happen, but I'm not going in expecting, like, I know that I gotta take my lumps and get my butt kicked a bit before I, learn enough to
Yeah.
be competitive. And I'm excited
Yeah.
for it. You know what I mean? The
That's a
learning
good
experience.
attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, bud. Oh, that's going to be a fun year then. I didn't know you were going hard in the paint like that.
I don't know.
Is Cliffy in for the Walleye Masters?
You bet he is.
Okay, good. Good. I
Yeah.
was going to be a little bit salty with you, or at least not actually be salty, but I was going to fire you a couple chirps, but I'm going to be down in the US that week anyway, so I am going to miss it. Yeah. That'll be good though. Cliff Sutherland, got to give him a shout out on here. I don't know if he listens, but
he'll be listening.
He's a legend from Wabigoon Lake, and he fired us a hot tip this year on a lure, and worked really well. So good guy, and you guys are gonna have fun together. I'll be pulling for you.
Yeah, he's a beauty. Like, he still gets excited about new lures and fishing just like a little kid. You know what I mean? Like, just like never lost the bug.
That's the best. That's the best. I like that, because you see people that have lost it, and it's good to see the people that haven't lost it, because it's just like, I don't ever want to lose it. I'm sure you don't either. Obviously priorities change and everything for a lot of people, but you definitely see some seasoned guys that are, like Cliffy, that are hanging off every tournament result, and keeping their eyes on the new graphs and new tactics and everything like that.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, it's going to be a good time, bud. Anything else you want to chat about? Anything else you want to nip on while we're here? We're at about an hour and 20 minutes, so we're kind of right around shutting her down time. So you definitely did your job.
Perfect. I actually didn't know that, if I'd have enough to talk about to kind of fill the time slot, but we creeped up on 45 minutes there pretty quick, and I was like, oh, maybe I better cut the chatter a little bit. But no, it seemed to work out pretty good.
Yeah, it goes really fast, hey?
It sure does, yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that the first couple I ever did, I was like, oh, that's it? Like, I had all this stuff I wanted to talk about. And then, after a few, it's like, I used to like write down a whole bunch of stuff, and now I'm just like, Bart will have some good shit to say.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I actually spent like the week, writing some stuff in point form on my phone, just like read it through a few times, because like I didn't want to miss anything. And I mean, I'm sure there is some stuff that I'll miss, but nothing too major. We covered the 2 winter derbies there.
Yeah, bud.
One story I was gonna tell you there though is when I sent you that picture there a week or 2 ago of that muskie that I caught.
Yeah.
So my buddy Richard Duje, we talked to him at the Masters. I think him and Jed come second. Anyways, he's like, what are you doing? Yeah. What are we doing Friday? And I said, sounds like going muskie fishing with you, bud. And he guides out there. He's a good angler, really good angler, actually. And anyways, I literally get in from Wawa at 2:30 in the morning, and I'm texting Richard, and he's like, man, that's a late night for you. Like, are you sure you want to get out her first thing in the morning? I said, yeah, man, we're doing it. So went to bed at 2:30, woke up at 5:30, and caught that fish at like 8 a.m. It was a 48 and a quarter, and he figured it was a 30 pounder for sure. So PB for me. So that was pretty awesome.
That's awesome, bud. Actually, that same morning, I sent a text to to a buddy in Dryden, and he sent me a picture of a big muskie on the Wabigoon that day as well. He had a big one. He's like, "Oh, just out fishing." I was like, "Oh, I've got 2 pictures of giant muskies today." I was like,
Well,
"What's going on there? I got to get in the damn truck and get my ass down to Wabigoon."
yeah, definitely glad I didn't tuck the boat to bed early. That's for sure.
Yeah, bud.
But then following that day on the lake, man, I caught some kind of a sickness and I was on the couch for like 4 days. It was absolutely awful. I'm
Well,
just
good thing you went.
yeah, I'm glad I got healthy in time for the podcast here.
Yeah. Hey, no lie here before we shut her down. Oh, you don't have to go back to Wawa anymore,
No,
right?
I'm supposed to come here and work for the next couple weeks actually. Yeah, like
Okay.
I'm still on a traveling crew until the end of the year, and I start in Fort in January.
Okay. Well, go to the store, like where the Goose is. You know where the store is. You've been spending some time there.
Yeah,
Uh, grab me a couple bricks of summer sausage.
you bet, bud. Got her.
Have you had that from there?
No, I haven't, but I'll
Oh
check her out for
God.
sure.
Yeah, best on my buddy Kelly told me about it, so I never drive past that sucker without grabbing some summer sausage at the Goose. The locals
Sweet.
are probably going to be fired up because they know what I'm talking about right now. It comes in a nice cheesecloth.
Okay, I'm
Grab
on it.
me a couple bricks. They last forever. So yeah, no lie though. Like you got to do it.
On the sausage note there, you'll have to hook me up with the contact for those meat sticks that you had in the boat this summer because those were killer. Those are probably
He shut her down. He's out for
no.
the year. Yeah, yeah. I'm not even shooting a deer because the sausage guy isn't Ted. Yeah, he had a couple surgeries or whatever lined up, so he's not spinning it this year. So I'm leaving the 300 short on the shelf, I think, in lieu of that.
Son of a gun! You shoot deer with a 300 short?
Yeah, sometimes. Like to be honest, I did go this year. I just suck at it. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
my caliber. That's just what I ended up with.
nice. That's what I just got for moose this year.
Yeah, I'm playing for keeps.
Awesome. Yeah, well, that'll do her. That'll do her.
Yeah, bud. All right, sweet, man. Well, thanks for taking the time. Always good to have a new guest on and shine a little light on you. And I'm sure it's not going to be your only time on the cast here. So, I'm sure we'll keep in touch, and we're gonna have to get out ice fishing probably pretty soon here. I don't know if I'm hardcore enough to go with you though.
Oh, we can start slow. No big deal.
Okay, like
Yeah.
practice camping in the yard and.
Yeah.
I'm not going winter camping though. It goes against everything I believe in.
Yeah, no worries, bud. We can go for a day trip. Not a problem at all.
All right, beauty. Okay, man. Well, keep in touch. Be safe on the road, and send me some pictures of walleyes.
Yeah, bud. Thanks for having me.
All right, cheers, bud. I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you.
Take care.